And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You've made it back to my channel. I am so glad to be back. I'm always glad to be back. And I am so glad to see you as well. And today we have a very, very fun episode. A character that you might recognize, but maybe you don't really know him that well. It is Dr. Psycho. Dr. Psycho from the Harley Quinn animated series on HBO Max. That's not where he originally got. I'm going to put this guy away because we're going to talk about him a little bit. Dr. Psycho. What can you say about this guy? He is one of Wonder Woman's most longest standing villains. So long standing that he was actually created in 1943 by William Molson Marston. I just tripped over his name. And he has, while he's varied in his psychosis or so, he's stayed relatively the same. Like I said, he was created by the same person who created Wonder Woman. This is one of her original villains. I believe he appeared in Wonder Woman issue number 4. That's how far back he goes, way back into the early 40s. There were a couple inspirations that that went into him. One of them was Lon Chaney, the silent film actor, also known as a man of 1,000 faces, who could essentially change your entire perception of him with just his face. Like, he was so artful, so articulate with his face that he would literally. I mean, when I say Lon Chaney, I don't mean Lon Chaney Jr., who most people know as the original Wolfman. This is his father, Lon Chaney, who was an actor, and he got the name Man of 1,000 Faces because he was primarily a stage actor and silent film star. And one of the things that he would do with just very little things was change. And part of the reason he became famous and everything is because he could do these crazy transformations, like from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde, simply by contorting his face. People thought they were watching a transformation before their eyes. If they were on stage, they would see him turn into Mr. Hyde, and there wasn't a makeup team that could run in and change his face. Like, he was just that good at contorting his face. You can actually see examples of that online if you look up Lon Chaney, Man of 1,000 Faces. There were plenty of examples of him doing that. The other person who Dr. Psycho was based upon was one of Marston's college advisors when he was an undergraduate. This person hated women to the point where he was very, very outspoken against women's suffrage, very anti-woman in general. And he just kind of took the sensibility and the weird facial contortions and looks and made him into Dr. Psycho. Dr. Psycho has had three personalities. There's been 3, although they've never really overlapped. There was a Dr. Psycho that Marston created. There was one after the crisis. There was a post-crisis Dr. Psycho, and then after the New 52, there was a third Dr. Psycho. And while their origins changed a bit, slightly, especially in their power sets, they roughly were the same person every time. Just change the name on the sign is a lot easier than changing it and then creating building an entire building. Um, Changing the sign over the door is easier than building an entire new restaurant. So yeah, that's the gimmick. That's the plan here, and he has ranged from basically being mildly crazy to just a full blown megalomaniac, psychopath. He just did different levels. Initially, he was part of Marston's dabbling in the occult. So there was the further back you go, a lot more mystic abilities went into him, and then later on, not only mystic, but he also had like telekinesis and telepathy and that kind of stuff, mind powers mixed with magic, and as he's gone on, it has really kind of leaned into the mental abilities and less with the spiritual, occultist, mystical stuff. But he's a great character that you can play for laughs or genuinely be terrifying at the same time. I think that's why the character works so well, and why he's always been a version of him throughout the Wonder Woman mythos. And obviously it lent well. A Dr. Psycho would do well in Harley Quinn's story, who he is a regular on that show. And that culminated in getting us this figure. And he's a great addition to my DC collection, ever expanding. You know I love getting new DC characters. But right now we're going to take this guy out and have a look at him. So while I don't tend to really go really too close, it's really important in this case with this character, as far as my enjoyment of it, is just seeing how much detail they've put into this. And this isn't a character you can really do a lot with. One of the things that I love that they've done is they've put him in this tuxedo, which really kind of gives him a timeless look. It almost pushes him back into that old vaudeville look of a man in a tuxedo with a bow tie. It really works because it also gives you a sense of how old the character actually is. And the wild hair, of course, that's been a constant with the character. Manner of back to Lon Chaney and everything. How to make your appearance make you look a certain way without actually having to do makeup or anything. The eyebrows, the hair, and the eye, the twitchy eye and everything. Those are the callbacks to the Lon Chaney. That really works, especially the character design of that. He almost looks like a stage magician, which only calls back to the old mystic elements that they used to give him in his pre-crisis days. Otherwise, the only other really, I think it's only been avoided one time where they had him not be of short stature. His original origin happened to be where he was married and he was a doctor. He was a professor, and essentially he was a very well off professor. And then when a younger man who was a jock essentially sets up a situation to sabotage and frame him, and he ends up doing prison time for it and everything, even though he is innocent. He eventually gets out and everything, and he goes after the guy and he kills him, only to find out. By the way, the jock, the athlete, and everything actually hunches over to make himself appear shorter, to essentially help frame him. to where his wife sees this smaller person committing this crime and testifies against him and gets him put away. When he eventually gets out and goes after the guy and ends up killing him, he finds out that the whole thing was a setup and that his wife was actually behind it. And so that helps push him along this very, very misogynistic attitude. And I mean, that it is expanded. Like, he was basically created to embody that attitude. And he does so almost to a comical degree, just being so over the top. And yeah, so that the shortness it was only avoided one time in one of his incarnations. But I really love the fact that he kind of has the Napoleon complex going on with him. And it just makes him to where it's easier to flip him from comical to terrifying, having a short stature. But yeah, I'm absolutely pleased with this pop, and absolutely love the idea of adding him to my collection. Because Raze loves his DC, and this was a character that, despite the animated series right now, he's still kind of an obscure character, even though he shouldn't. I mean, he's been a thorn in Wonder Woman's side since the beginning, since the 1940s. So essentially, he should be up there with like Lex Luthor and, the Joker as far as, old villains. But again, with Wonder Woman, her stories haven't always worked. And a lot of writers and creators really didn't know exactly what to do with her. And she's always been a work in progress. And that reflects on her villains as well. So he's caught up in that whole turmoil. But doesn't matter. He's part of my collection, and I'm very happy to have him. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now. And I hope you've enjoyed this video and this little walk down the little history that I tend to do. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Good things will happen if you do. I'm telling you. I guarantee something good will happen to you after you subscribe. Of course, that would probably happen regardless as to whether you subscribed or not. But let's just say it's because you subscribed to Raze Chaos. Because that's how we work it here. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now. Hope you've enjoyed this. And never forget that life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're going to be defined.